So welcome to Holyoke Community College. My name is Christina Royal. I'm the president at HCC, and we're happy to host you today on our campus. And while you're here, for some of you, it might be your first time. Others, you're here frequently, which is wonderful because we try to make our spaces open and available for the community because we are a community college. So this is your college. So I want to just take a few minutes to briefly share some of the ways that HCC has been focusing on strengthening ourselves as a Hispanic serving institution. We do attract a significant number of students from Holyoke and Springfield alike, and obviously many of you know that Holyoke is home to the largest number of Puerto Ricans in the United States per capita outside of Puerto Rico. And so this is a significant community for us here. More than 50% of the residents of Holyoke are Latinx, and most are of Puerto Rican descent. But we also have a lot of challenges with poverty being one of the poorest communities in the state, both Holyoke and Springfield. And we have about 28% of our students that identify as Latinx, and most of them also identify specifically as Puerto Rican. 96% of our students live within 20 miles of the campus, and 64% live within 8 miles. So when you look at the center of who we're attracting and educating, primarily Holyoke, Springfield, and Chicopee are three of our largest communities that we serve. A little bit about the profile of our Latinx student. 64% are female, 73% are 24 years or younger, 72% are Pell eligible, meaning that they're receiving federal financial aid, 57% are enrolled part-time, 58% are first-time degree-seeking Latinx students that need developmental English, and 88% need developmental math. And so when we look at the population, we're working very closely with the Holyoke Public Schools to be able to continue to ensure that the students that come here can start in a college-ready status. This is why equity is so important to us as a community college. Sometimes I'll get the question, well, why are you focusing on Latinx? We've got a lot of other populations at the college. And I often talk about how our work as an HSI is what lifts up our entire community. And so it's not just about Latinx. It's about creating a welcoming culture where diversity and inclusion is something that everyone feels inherently when they come here, and that our policy, practices, procedures, way of doing business are reflective and supportive of the range of cultures and identities that come to Holyoke Community College. So a couple of quick things. I'm not going to go through our whole strategic plan, but what I do want to do is just highlight a few elements that of ways that we are trying to focus on making equity a priority at our institution. The first, in terms of creating a welcoming environment. So we just launched, the building next door is our new $43.5 million campus center. Beautiful space for students, if you haven't been over there. But within that, we created El Centro, and it's nice, first of all, to even have one of our offices in Spanish. And so, you know, we want people to feel comfortable speaking the languages that they speak, you know, not just English. We want people to have a hub and a place and a learning environment where they can hang out, be themselves, find community, as well as all the other reasons why they're here, including academics, but having a space for multicultural support. We've also been focusing on developing language to shift towards becoming what I consider a culturally responsive institution. Now that's a tall order, but a couple of the things that we're doing include baseline knowledge and educating our employees around inclusivity, equity, culturally responsive pedagogy for faculty, implicit bias, and also what the meaning of being a Hispanic serving institution is. That is a federal designation, but it has so much inherent meaning. And when we look at becoming more and more welcoming, we want to sense that the minute that you step on this campus, you know that we're an HSI. We don't have to tell you because you feel it. And that's ultimately the best goal that we can have when we talk about creating a space of inclusion. We're focusing on the achievement gap that exists between Hispanic and low-income learners. That's a challenge because we have right now our white students succeeding at a higher rate than all the other ethnic groups that we have. And I know you understand the complexities that come with trying to focus on closing that achievement gap, but that's the hard work that we're engaged in, because everybody should feel like they can have the same level of success when they come here. We're focusing on increasing student success through a holistic approach to addressing the underrepresented student, and that's part of how we address that achievement gap, is that we have to look at ways that we can ensure that students get the support services and make the connections that they need to be able to go through and succeed, but also teaching them the skills to be adaptable and resilient so that they take those into the workplace. And part of that is teaching them things that they might not be learning in their family units, because we have many first-generation college students. And so they don't have mentors in the family that necessarily have those experiences to carry on and pass down to their children. And so when they come here, this is a new experience, and it's a new experience for their whole family. So we're really, when we talk about a holistic approach to educating the learner, it's also then about how do we bring family orientation into the mix. Not just the student, but having the whole understanding for the family, because they need that support at home. And then lastly, academically, the Language and Latinx Studies Department at HCC has launched this fall a new degree option. The Latinx Studies option is a 60-degree associate's degree that provides career and transfer opportunities for HCC in law and advocacy, community arts, city and urban planning, counseling, youth services, and environmental justice. And the I was having some conversations earlier, and there's a lot of conversation around how do we make sure the younger generations understand some of this history. And so the Latinx Studies program is an interdisciplinary study of the historical, social, cultural, political, and economic forces that have shaped and continue to shape the development of Americans of Latinx origin and ancestry over the last 500 years. We're the first community college in the area to offer this degree option, which will not only be open to students of Latinx origin, but also to anyone interested in learning about and working with the largest minority group in the United States. So you're here because 2 years ago, there was a devastating event that happened when Hurricanes Maria and Irma hit Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands. And in doing so, it also put this region into chaos, because we already have so many people of Puerto Rican descent in Western Massachusetts, and many of them in seeking refuge for whether they were relocating or here temporarily, were coming here to be with some family and to figure out how they pick the pieces up and try to make sense of their lives and the loss of Puerto Rico as they know it. I advocated for, and Commissioner Carlos Santiago, who will be speaking earlier, was the biggest champion of ensuring that we could approve in-state tuition waivers for those students that relocated here immediately to do a small part in helping with that transition. But this community stepped up in a big way to be able to band together and to work collaboratively to ensure that we could do the best job possible in helping students get settled permanently or temporarily in this area. One of the ways that we're still helping with some of the effects of Puerto Rico is we have a lot of nurses that relocated up here, and they come up here, they're nurses by trade in Puerto Rico, but they are not able to practice nursing here because of their English language skills. And so we have a program where we've been working with about 30 to 40 of them to really help them get their English language skills up so that they could be able to practice as nurses instead of the types of jobs that they've had to take as a substitute. So I appreciate everyone's support in this community in having a piece of this conversation and being part of the solution. As I transition to introduce the real star of the show, is Betty Medina Lichtenstein is one of the people who was most central in Holyoke to helping with the hurricanes and the aftermath effect, specifically in Holyoke. And there are so many people in our community, but Betty is a tremendous leader through in everything and continues to be, not just leading Enlace de Familias, but also in her work to just continue to ensure that this can be a place where Puerto Ricans and everybody can feel welcome, supported, and succeed. And so with that, let me introduce Betty.